Hi, I'm BobbyCrispy. I've had a lot of people ask me about my amp settings and how I get my sounds. So in this video, I'll give an introduction to guitar amplifiers. This video is good for beginner guitar players who want to learn the basics about amps. I'll use my 3 amps, Roland Cube 100, Fender Jazz, and Marshall MG30 DFX. Before turning an amp on, I want to make sure the volume is set to 0. Otherwise, if it's too high, you might get a sudden boom or feedback. So turn it on, bring up the volume, what you want it. Then next, set the equalizer, which is the bass and the treble. I like to keep both at 10 to give a good full sound, but you can adjust it to whatever way you want it to. Most amps have 2 channels, clean and overdrive. So for the overdrive, first thing you might want to do is set the gain. Now the gain is like a combination of overdrive and volume. So if I bring up the gain, have the gain set to 10, gives a good strong overdrive sound. But set it to the middle, it's more like a soft overdrive. So I like to keep that at 10 as well. Next is the contour. That affects the quality of the sound. So if you keep the contour at 10, it'll have like a real thinner sound. Like as you bring it up, the sound gets fatter sounding. So if I crank it to 10, it's more like. So depending on what kind of sound you want to get, just the contour. I like to keep that set to 10 as well. Next is the reverb. Reverb is just echo. If you have it turned off, or if you have it at 0, you'll just end up with a flat sound. It sounds a little bit too plain, unless that's the way you want it. Also, if you have it too high, you might get an overlayered sound. It's too much effects, like. So for the reverb, I like to keep it around 4. Some amps have buttons, like on the Fender Jazz amp here. There's bright, then there's full, which has a little more bassy sound. Then for the overdrive channel, there's crunch, which is like a soft distortion. And then there's lead, which is good for the guitar solos, obviously. That's a little bit louder. Some amps even have a foot switch. Most of them should anyway. Channel 4 foot switch. This is the foot switch here. It allows you to toggle from a main channel, clean, to overdrive, which is good for playing live So you may want to, so if you're playing, you want to switch to lead, just hit the foot switch, it goes to overdrive. Back to the clean sound. So it goes back and forth. It's pretty handy to have. Most good amps should have a chorus setting. These two knobs here are for the chorus. So if I turn it down, the rate, usually it's rate and depth. Rate increases the speed of that back and forth sound. So if I bring it up, that's the rate cranked to 10. It's a little bit too fast, so maybe in around the middle. Then there's depth. That's how deep the that back and forth sound goes. So if you crank that to 10, you get a real big back and forth sound. So I like to keep that around 5 as well. Turn that off. Most amps also have 2 input jacks, 1 and 2, or high and low. 1 or high is the main one, which is louder than 2, which is more of a backup one. It's a lot softer. So I'm playing through number 1, and I switch to 2. It's a lot softer sounding. So you can hear the difference. The size of the amp makes a difference too. If you have a small, tiny amp, it's going to have a real tinny sound, not very good at all. But the bigger the amp, the more full sound you're going to get. Okay, well, that's about it. I hope that was helpful, and thanks for watching.